right, so we're back for a little standing work. My hands might get cut off on some of this, but let's go ahead and again go through a sequence we do a lot in class. So say we're up, I'm going to take a warrior two. Left foot's forward, right foot's back. To workshop this a little bit. So the left knee bends, does not go past the ankle. You can scoot that foot forward or just scoot your back foot back. Now the classic alignment, right? Your hip, knee, second toe are on a nice straight line. We're not pivoting this foot in or out, right? We really want that alignment to be good. The heel of my front foot, if you drew a line, would bisect my back foot. And the back foot, you can have the foot kind of like this. Most often, a little turning in on the foot is great. You don't want to swing it out, right? And this gives you a nice push point of contact on the back of the foot. So you sort of figure out the width of your stance. Whoops, turns into a bounce pose. All right, so here we are. We come down, find the legs first. And remember, we're going to turn everything to the side of your mat. Hands could just start on hips and start watching for this knee to come in. Sometimes it tips in, you want it out. Be real fancy. You take your hand to your top thigh here and you rotate. So you pull this part of the thigh up and under, right? You bring the outer thigh under there. You can take the backhand opposite here. Outer thigh comes around the front. Okay, a little fine tune point. Arms up when you're ready. I do like to turn the palms up just to open into the shoulders, at least at first, and then the palms go back down and try to keep that open shoulder. And I'm looking at, say, the middle fingernail on my finger here on the front hand. And here we are, warrior two. You can build a lot of strength just holding this stuff, right? You stay here long enough, all kinds of things start growing and happening in here, which is great for mobility and, just keeping up your longevity of your mobility, right? How long you can keep moving, keep walking without falling as much and all that stuff, right? So I'm tipped a little forward towards this hand. Don't want that. So imagine there's a little pull back to the backhand. And then the shoulder blades kind of come towards one another. So you're pretty broad in the chest. Breathing here. And we can do reverse. Backhand down, front hand up. Legs stay really pretty stable. Exhale back. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, warrior two. One more time. Reverse. Feeling nice stretch through here, opening on the side body. And there we go. Now side angle. Let's take the front elbow to the knee. Legs again, staying put. It's a lot of work. Swing. I like to swing the arm forward rather than taking it overhead, right? I think this gets you a nicer shoulder position. And we're going to reach this hand way off the front of the mat. Now again, this is great. Put some weight into that elbow if you want. If you want to build strength, you reduce the weight in the elbow. You might even take that away or just barely touch, which is not easy to do. You could always do this. Very challenging as well. But again, if you were looking for strength building, it's a great way to go. I'm just going to hold this. And it can be hard. And that's the whole effortless effort, right? Your body's working, but wherever you don't have to work, which includes your mind, trying to find some peace and stillness. Anyway, arm comes back behind, straighten front leg, walk feet together. Step it out, do what you like. Ready for the other side. Right foot's now the front foot. Left foot back. Knee over or behind ankle. Never. So when we're on the floor with this knee down, the front knee can go past the ankle. Okay? Because most of the weight's being borne on your back knee. But you do not want to put that much force on your front knee if your leg is up like this. That's putting tons of pressure there. So we don't want the knee to go past the ankle. Okay? And you're not going to fall apart if it happens. But it's a bad habit to keep up. Okay, so here we are. Legs strong, back arch, touching the floor. Hips, chest, face the long edge of the mat. Arms up. Find your pose. Turn your eyes to the front. Breathing here. I'm self-conscious when I'm on camera. Ah, there we go. Again, that tip you can turn. Inner thigh comes up. Outer thigh comes down on the back leg. Hold as long as you like. Try to do the same as on the other side. And then reverse. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale back, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale back to warrior two. One more. Reverse warrior, warrior two. Reestablish the pose. And then elbow to knee. And swing wide with the top arm. Right, and so this is very much all aligned, right? The foot, front foot, back foot are lined up. Knee, hip, back hip. My shoulder is over the knee, over the ankle. Stacking, lots of stacking and keeping it in a really narrow plane. Here, if you have a very thin room, you could do this, right? And you don't get into it by moving the knee forward, right? You get into it by lowering the back, moving the back foot or lowering the hips. If you want to go deeper, you reach, and you push from the back foot. You reach through the fingers. Again, turn this into balance by looking up at the sky. Come on out when you're ready. All right, that's a fair amount of strengthening there. So let's do kind of a greatest hits day, I guess, today. Let's take some blocks to the top of our mat. This one I do not photograph well in these poses, but here we go. So we're going to go into pyramid pose, left foot forward, right foot back. Notice this is not like that long stance of triangle, right, or warrior two. It's a much shorter stance. Also notice my front foot and my back foot are not aligned, right? We're not on a tightrope for this one. You can move that way if you want, but it does make it more challenging. So make sure you feel stable. Okay, here we are. Again, that back foot is swung in. Can inhale, arms up. Get a good stretch. Maybe even just take hands to hips. Start by trying to keep that stretch, length in the side body as we fold, 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 fold. And you'll see I'm almost like taking my hands, I'm pitching, tipping my pelvis forward, coming into the halfway. And this is great work right here. If you don't want to take your hands down, just stay here. Extend from the tail to the crown. My leg's already going a little crazy. Otherwise, hands go to blocks, right? And here we are. Make some adjustments, whatever you need to do. So, I tend to round. I have a very hard time not rounding my back. Ideally, you do want to get more flat with the back, which sometimes means you need to come up higher. You want to keep a little lumbar curve, keep your sternum, your heart moving kind of forward, not just folding down. Here we are. And of course, you fold as deeply as you like for this intense side angle pose, which is lots of stuff here. Sometimes you like to do bend the front knee, re-straighten the leg. Bend the front knee. And I push into the ball of the big toe to re-straighten that leg. And what it does, it kind of sets the femur back further, and you get a little more space in the hip, and maybe you fold further with that. You can always move your blocks, whatever you like to do. You can hold onto your ankle if you'd rather, if you like that point of contact, right? That self-love kind of touch. We're going to come out, we're going to go into revolve triangle. So I'm going to take that block from my right hand, I'll move the left out of the way so you can see. Left hand comes to the hip, I'm back up halfway, right? And I twist. Again, this shoulder is trying to be over this shoulder. Sometimes it's easy to be like folding forward like this. Really, before you do that, right? If you're like this, if this shoulder is really to the left, keep your left hand on your hip. And when you want, you just start working on this piece, like getting this shoulder up, 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 up over the bottom shoulder. Okay. That's more of the direction we want to be in. Then the hand reaches up when it's right for you. Again, this is balance. You can look up to the sky, makes it harder. And you can also adjust your front block. The closer to your foot it is, the more challenging. And the classic pose, the hand goes outside the front foot. Pretty tough. Hand comes down, bend your front knee, untwist, rise up. Get ready for the other side. Actually, let's take a few breaths. That was some hard work. You know, the warrior two. And that pose, pyramid pose. Parshvattanasana, is that what it is? Sometimes the Sanskrit escapes me. But really, between any little challenging bit sequence, it's a great idea to just stop and then examine. And then with a clearer head and a less pounding heart going to the other side. So right foot forward, left foot back. Maybe reaching up just to get some length from here to here. A lot of these forward folds, that's kind of the key, right? Is keeping length from the side body. We don't want to crush it in and fold down, right? We want that length to stay. Okay, so hands can be on hips if you like. And, you know, if that folding forward is challenging, you can take a little bend in that front knee. No shame in that. Come forward, come forward, come forward, come forward. And again, maybe stay put. You might feel that knee stuff when you bend your knee and re-straighten. Maybe you feel it better when your hands aren't on the block. Try that. And when you're ready, though, hands to the block. Okay, right side, dominant side, all tore up. Much harder for me on this side. So I'm not going to go quite as deep. I'm not going to back off entirely. I want to keep progressing on that, you know, working on that, but I also want to honor the fact that it's not the same as my other leg. I'm starting to fold. Again, you can always do your little knee bends and straightens. And there's a bit of this. So this hip's moving back, and the hip point on the left leg kind of swings forward. They're not going to line up by any means, but there is some direction there. And when you're ready, get ready for your revolved triangle. So left hand on block, block under shoulder for start, maybe right hand. I like it on sacrum. I think it works pretty well. When you're ready, you twist. And be careful if you start pipping, I don't know if that really is a word, popping off the back heel. That heel stays down, right? Do what you got to do. Keep that heel down. Twist, twist, twist. Bring this shoulder over the bottom shoulder. Twist, 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 twist. Revolved triangle is a twist. Top arm can reach up when it's right for you. And here we are again, building strength in the down arm, building openness in the upper or downward shoulder versus upward shoulder. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Effortless effort. Sthira Sukha Asanam. Balance of effort and ease in the pose. Top hand comes down. Bend knee, untwist, step feet together. Up and out of the pose. Breathing here. And then when you're ready, so part of that break between those challenging poses and moving on, right? I'm sweating a little bit. It's kind of warm today. That break, you know, you kind of bring it all back home, right? You recenter, you let your heart slow down, your breath slow down. You're going to move on to a balanced pose where a pounding heart and a heavy breathing is not your friend in that pose, right? It's going to make it challenging, but you're going to use those moments to come back down, center back down, slow back down, and when you're ready, you move on. So let's start with the right foot down, right leg, standing leg. Again, we want this hip. Sometimes in these poses, it pops out, right? We want a nice stacked joints, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder. So that's where a lot of your strength is. So when your joints are out of alignment, it's all muscle work holding you in the shape, right? It's your muscles are, your body's kind of going out of the way of gravity and your muscles are having to fight that. So if you can, in most poses, and it varies on pose to pose and all sorts of stuff, but your stacked joints are really a good idea in the most part. So you can start and just keep it simple. If you want to just take your other foot off the floor, you know, and do this, right? And so here's that saggy hip, wobbly, bring that hip in. Whoops, touching the floor. So we can go to tree pose. And you can take your foot to the calf, right? A lot of tree pose is about this knee. So if it's easier for you to get the knee wide, I'm wobbly talking so much, get the knee wide by swinging it out and having the foot on the calf, that's great because you want this action here. If you can do that with the knee up higher, that's great too. And see, I'm even touching a wall for this piece, right? Until I find the pose and bring that hip in nice and tall. Maybe hands are just at heart. This knee is swinging out wide. My eyes are focused softly on a spot on the floor. And this is great. Your arms are there for what you need, right? If it's better for you to reach up, you reach up. Sometimes I like this trick where I imagine I'm holding onto the rails of like a subway car pole or, BART rail or whatever. And that sort of visualization and engagement of the muscles really does help me find that stability. So boom, now I'm holding on to something in my hands, even though I'm not really, right? But here we go, hold, hold, hold. And you come out when you're ready, hands down first, foot off, and land. Balance poses are very dynamic. They're different every time you do them. Everybody falls out of balance poses from time to time, and the big thing is go back into it when you fall out of it. Just try to get there just a breath or two, and then you leave on your own terms, right? You don't just fall out of it and throw in the towel, which, we all probably do sometimes too. As much as you can, though, get back on that horse, ride it just a little bit further. That's how we learn. So this knee is wide, leg is strong, arms can be low, if that's better for your balance. Arms can be at heart, hands at heart, or reaching up and hold onto your subway handles. Gazing at a drishti, a spot on the floor. You want to make it harder, gaze at the horizon, or close your eyes for the ultimate balance challenge. And when you fall out, you come back into it. Of course, you can leave the pose when you're ready. Hands down, foot down. I think that'll do for this one. I know I said I'd have a short practice. I don't think it's working out that way. So next bit, we're just gonna come to the floor. Okay, final bit. We've done our standing work, our balance poses. We're coming down to the floor. Resting, having my props nearby. I'm just going to start right here. Feet down, knees bent, arms by side. This is often called constructive rest, and it's just wonderful. I'm sure you know. So now you might see my chin rocking away from my chest. Try to avoid that. So you can always take your head, pick it up, and actually like give yourself a little stretch, like you're going to pull your head back towards the back of your mat. Lengthen your neck and then lay your head back down. It's a classic yoga adjustment. I don't do many adjustments in class. People got, sensitive about that for quite a few reasons. It is something I kind of miss, and I would like to do more. If you want that, let me know. I do believe in the healing touch piece of yoga practice in the class setting. Anywho, okay, so here we are. If you like, you can hug your knees. Maybe rock from side to side. And if it's your low back that needs the massage, right, your knees are maybe further away. If you want more mid back around the diaphragm, you can sort of do this. Hug the knees in tighter. And we'll land our feet back down to the floor. Perhaps pick up the right foot, cross the ankle across the left knee. This knee, you can even take your hand to your top of your right thigh and press. Really get some space for all the sort of nutrients and nourishment to flow in that hip socket. Stretch those muscles a bit, and then just gently reduce the pressure. Try not to let the knee spring back, right? We're trying to keep that knee open. Can be tricky. Pick up the left foot. Hands go around the back of the thigh or the front of the left shin, your choice. Now we want our feet in flexion, so we pull the tops of the feet back. Try to find that long neck, right? Same thing, long neck. Draw the knee in, swing the right knee away, feet in flexion. Now I'm going to try and find a little arch in my low back. Like right now, my low back is like completely compressed onto the floor. So I have to let this knee drift away a little bit just to get the tiniest arch. Shoulders on the floor and away from ears. Here we are. This is like a classic feel-good stretch. It's like a supine pigeon, I guess. Pigeon pose we don't do very often either. And when you're ready, yes, release. Do the same on the other side. Left ankle crosses right knee. Left hand presses into the upper left thigh. That right there, and that sort of where your femoral artery is, that's a marma point, a big marma point, which is the acupressure of yoga. So you get a little push there. And release that pressure. And same. Hands around thigh, hands around shin. Feet in flexion, tops of feet come back. Left knee swings away as the right knee draws closer, and we're trying to keep a little arch in the low back and a long back of the neck. Again, shoulders, try to let them onto the floor and down away from your ears. Release when you're ready, feet down. Let's do one last release. Let's take a block, place that under our sacrum, under our pelvis. Pick up, make sure you feel okay with the block there. You're not going to fall off and it's not going to dig in some way. So feet back down. We'll hug the right knee in and extend the left leg. And just do what feels good. Hopefully this feels good on your low back. When you're ready, you just switch it out. Feet back down, left knee hugs in first. Extend the right leg, feet in flexion once again. So there's pushing out to that right foot as we draw the left knee in. There's definitely a separation of actions in the hips right there. Long neck. Release. One last great pose before Shavasana, if you'd like, is Viparita Karani. And I'm going to do it without the wall, but if it's, it's better for a lot of people to do this with your legs up a wall. But you still want this block under your thing. And I really shouldn't turn my head. When I'm in the pose, I definitely do not turn my head to the side. In the pose, eyes are always up. Listen to your cues and what's going on. Do not look at what's going on. Okay, so you got your block. You take your feet up, and just see. And if that block doesn't feel right, you come down, and you adjust, and then you go back up. Now I do say, putting your legs up a wall like that, I broke my rule, I don't turn my head. Okay, so legs up a wall is really wonderful, especially at the end of the day. If you have any swelling in your feet, your legs, right? And really, Ayurvedically speaking, this is the most grounding pose you can possibly do for Vata, which is the dosha, which really dominates many of our lives, especially if we're, say, over 50. Anyone who's gone through menopause, definitely in a Vata stage of life. Gentlemen go through their own version of hormone shifts, but over 50, 55, your skin's getting drier, your hair is getting finer, all that stuff. That's all Vata dosha at play, and this is a great balancing pose for that. By bringing energy into the colon, really, that's what it's doing. So it's also good for digestion. And I know I'm talking a lot, but it's great for, if you have like bowel movements and constipation, kind of brings a lot of fluid to the colon and compression that might help relieve that. So legs up a wall you can do for 5 minutes. It's great. This legs in the air, that's actually starting to turn into a strength pose for me. So I'm going to come out, feet down, set my block aside. Coming into our Shavasana, bolster under knees, or one other nice thing if you have blocks is you can just put blocks right under your hamstrings. That feels pretty great for some of us. So I encourage always exploring and playing. And now you can see my head still rocking away. So for Shavasana, you know what, I'm just going to do a tiny blanket pillow. You really want to take any sort of strain out of every part of your body for Shavasana. So you lift the legs to bend the knees, which releases the low back. You lift the neck, or lift the head a little bit, and let the neck release. And you lie in Shavasana. You know, if you can, if you have the time, you want 4 or 5 minutes would be great. As much as possible, you end in Shavasana. Simply return to the breath, and the rise and the fall of the inhale and the exhale. And stay as long as you like. For the sake of the video, I'm going to come out of the pose by rolling to my side and laying on my side. The classic suggestion is you roll to the right side. Your liver, big heavy organ, is now towards the floor. Heart slightly elevated. So the anatomical reasons for choosing the right side. And then push up. Find your way back to seated. And I know I just said take a long Shavasana, but for the video, I had to cut it a little short. So here we are. When you're seated, exhale, letting your weight settle down. Inhale, lift and rise with a very stable seat. And if you wish, take your hands to your heart. Gently bow in a gesture of gratitude to anything you're grateful for. And then rise up. And thank you for practicing. Let me know if you liked the video or if there's something else you'd like to see. Okay, thanks.